のターンだ。遊戯、貴様にはわかるはずだ。デュエリストの血が俺たちを巡り合わせたことを。
どんなデュエルでも受けて立つぜ。そしてカイバ、お前を倒す。
Seto Kaiba is the second character we'll be covering in the first DLC character pack. Kaiba plays as a slower paced zoning character. Whilst he has the ability to get in and get some work done, his kit lends itself very well to a more defensive playstyle. In his respective anime and manga series Yu-Gi-Oh!, Kaiba seeks to become the greatest Duel Monsters player in the world, and to do so he must defeat his arch-nemesis Yugi. Seto Kaiba is known for being selfish and arrogant. Despite being powerful, he tends to misdirect that power due to ignorance. Kaiba's first ability is called Burst Stream. This ability isn't difficult to land by any means. However, when used within a combo, it will definitely take some practice to learn how this ability can land following a string of attacks. For example, due to its startup, you will need more hits done to land the entirety of the beam, otherwise you may be subject to a punish. So it's useful to take the time to learn to properly use this ability within combos. With Burst Stream only costing 1 bar of energy, it is able to be used pretty much any time if you're wanting to end combos with it. This ability will knock the opponent very far away after landing successfully. This is effective if you want to begin zoning the opponent, wasting time or charging energy. It should also be noted that this ability can be charged by holding down the ability button. This will play a cinematic and increase the damage, however it's very difficult to feasibly land this ability unless you've practiced how to. Burst Stream also has armor properties, however I wouldn't always advise using this in close range as the enemy can get some easy punishes onto you. Kaiba's second ability is called Ultimate Burst. With this ability, Kaiba sends Blue Eyes forward as a projectile. If Blue Eyes connects with the target, a special animation will play. Unlike Burst Stream, even with practice, following up this attack with a combo is nearly impossible. Considering this ability costs 2 bars of energy, the damage isn't particularly exciting. It does a little more damage than Burst Stream, but has about the same damage as a charged Burst Stream. It should also be noted that this ability is more reliable than Burst Stream. This is because its startup feels much faster and is harder to anticipate for the opponent. It also leaves Kaiba slightly less vulnerable if blocked. Furthermore, the damage doesn't scale down as much as Burst Stream, so if you're maximizing your damage within a combo and want a more reliable ender, this ability is definitely the one. Initially, this ability doesn't seem very impressive, but when you stack up its advantages over Burst Stream, it becomes a stronger combo ender and neutral tool. The cost is still high, however, making this a higher risk, higher reward ability in general. Ultimate Burst also separates yourself and your opponent quite far. Kaiba's third ability is called My Turn. This ability is what makes Kaiba a great zoner, and allows him to shift between offense and defense effectively. When activated, My Turn will give Kaiba a random ability out of 3, those being Ring of Destruction, Shadow Spell or Crush Card Virus. The ability costs 1 bar to use and can be delayed by holding down the ability button. This is only effective for mixing up the timings. Crush Card Virus spawns these 2 orbs next to Kaiba, then after about a second or 2 of them being there, they shoot forward and track the enemy, causing small damage and a small amount of hits done. This is a good card as it can be used defensively. It can save you from an attacking opponent, or offensively as Kaiba can use the orbs to chase the enemy down and force them to block. Shadow Spell is comparable to Yugi's Swords of Revealing Light. This card spawns 2 large portals above and below the opponent. Then, after a short delay, chains appear. If the opponent is in the area of effect before the chains spawn, they have no chance of leaving, so they are forced to block. Failure to block will result in them taking a small amount of damage. It should be noted that if the opponent avoids this ability before it spawns, they can very easily punish Kaiba as he is stuck until the ability ends. Ring of Destruction spawns a ring above the enemy which is very difficult for them to see. It also follows them wherever they move. After a short delay of less than 2 seconds, the ring will drop and explode on the opponent, leaving them in enough hits done for Kaiba to follow up with a combo, granted they are either close enough or an assist is used. It is very important to note that this attack is unblockable, but it can be dodged as the ring is falling. Finally, Kaiba's awakened ability, which is called Obelisk the Tormentor. This ability starts with Kaiba sending Blue Eyes forward as a projectile, much like Ultimate Burst, however with much more range and speed. If Blue Eyes connects, Kaiba will summon Obelisk the Tormentor to attack. Given that this ability is much easier to land than Ultimate Burst, which is a great ability to end combos with, it's a reliable awakened ability. In regular Kaiba fashion, this ability separates you and your opponent very far and gives Kaiba a much larger frame advantage. I've had a couple of instances where this ability failed to land after a standard 3-hit heavy string, however I don't think this is a common occurrence. Obelisk can connect off of most, if not all, of Kaiba's standard attack strings. For his assist, Kaiba uses his Burst Stream ability. This is his first attack. This ability doesn't feel too great for a number of reasons. A beam support isn't always a bad thing. Piccolo's is a great example of how they can be effective. However, Kaiba's assist stuns the enemy during its use and then knocks them far away, so comboing during the beam is okay, but following up is extremely difficult. Also, the longer startup time makes this beam very easy to avoid or block, which is never a good thing. It's also because of this reason that the beam is harder to combo with overall. Something like Piccolo's beam or Kage's fist can keep an opponent in place for a period of time that's much easier to capitalize on. When I play as Kaiba, my number one priority is creating space between myself and my opponent and charging for energy. Once I have a lot of energy, I begin controlling space with my draw card ability, My Turn, which may help me decide how I want to progress. I can follow up off of some of the cards or use the additional time to charge more energy or create more space. From here I just follow up with some basic combos by capitalizing off of the opponent's mistakes. Because of Kaiba's excellent defense game, you are never forced to push the opponent and make a move, and you can really spend the entire game zoning until you have to play offense. As mentioned previously, Kaiba is a more defensive character, favouring zoning opponents and keeping the distance to whittle down the opponent's HP bit by bit. Kaiba is far less combo heavy than other characters. Many characters in this game can use assist to extend combos to extreme lengths and confirm high amounts of damage with a single combo and a few techniques. Whilst Kaiba can still kind of accomplish this, it is undeniable that his strength is in shorter combos with only a few hits and a super, where he can then create space and return to playing defense. It is for this reason that Kaiba's playstyle is very hit or miss for most players. I personally enjoy playing as Kaiba in this game, as the majority of my experiences with more aggressive characters. Kaiba's gameplay is a nice change of pace. Despite my enjoyment of the character, it's harder to recommend him as he doesn't feel as strong as many other characters on the roster. Guys, this has been the character overview for Seto Kaiba. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.